Hiya, Martin here. Thank you for joining me for this week's turning project video. I hope you're all well and you have had super creative weeks and weekends in your workshops. Huge thanks as always for all of the comments on recent videos. I should have gotten back to you all by now, so if I haven't, then please do bear with me and I will get to you as soon as I possibly can. And also a big warm welcome to all of my new subscribers too. Now, Earl Rumble in the USA or Canada has been asking me for weeks to do another pyrography video. Well, this week I have, and this week I am very proud to present. Here's a bowl I did some pyrography on. It's a steampunk style bowl where the bowl looks like it's kind of clockwork and a bit of the bowl has been ripped out to expose the cogs and the inner workings of the tree. It's an 11-inch piece of sycamore that's been lightly stained with a gradient over the top and also on the back too. My usual sort of elegant line that I like with these styles of bowls, and it's been finished with Hampshire Sheen Original and High Gloss too. If you're interested in the design of the cogs and stuff, you can head over to the website where it is downloadable. Yeah, I'm not going to waffle on for ages. I hope you enjoy the video, and please do like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in a minute for how I turned the clockwork bowl. Okay, right, here we are. I've turned the outside of the piece down already to a nice shallow curve, and I've put a recess in the bottom. Now, although this is going to be a bowl, I've put a recess in the bottom for a particular reason which I will show you at the end. Slightly undercut so it sits nice and flat, but now what I want to do, because this piece of sycamore is beautifully boring, I do like boring sycamore, but there's a nice little wave in it here. So I'm going to colour the whole lot rosewood, the whole back rosewood. So I'm going to get the lathe spinning slowly, quite quickly rather. And spray the inside. And then the outside, and I want to get slightly darker on the inside than on the outside, or the bottom than the top. Like that. That's come up really nicely. I like that. Right, now I'm going to leave that overnight to soak in, because it's getting quite late now, and I need to go and design the bit that's going to go on the front. But before I do, I need to make a couple of notes. Paper. Now for this I need to make a note of a couple of dimensions, and I need the diameter of the foot at 12 centimeters, and the recess is 6.4 centimeters. Now the actual diameter of the piece is, at the moment, 27.5 centimeters, which is about 10 3/4 inches. It's the morning after, and I've sealed the back of the piece and finished it with Hampshire Sheen Original, and now I can turn it round in the chuck so I can begin the top of the piece. Now I'm going to plane off, I'm going to face off the front or the top of the piece, and then I'm going to lay the design over the top so I can see where my walls are going to be. So here's the design that I want to put onto part of the wall. It's a steampunk style design. I need to cut it out. I don't need to be too precise, and that should fit fairly nicely because I've measured it. Yeah, look at that. It fits. Haha! So I think about there will do. So if I leave a pencil mark there, which is my inside wall, and one there, to make that mark, and then give the lathe a little spin and just make the very first couple of cuts into the bowl so I know where to finish the rim to. That'll do. Right, now I know where I am with it. I can finish the top of the wall down to 400, and then I can start the pyrography part. Splendid. Right, I'll do that, and then we'll take it over to the bench and we'll transfer the design. Here's the piece, and I've sanded it down just the rim to 400. Now I haven't taken out the whole bowl centre yet, because as I go round I want to be able to rest my hand on something whilst I'm either transferring the design or burning it on. Now here's the design. I'm just going to centre it up a bit. Yeah, it's about 1 millimetre out, which I'm not going to worry about too much. And then I'm going to take some Model Maker's masking tape, this thin stuff, just to hold the design in place, because the last thing you want to have happen is the design move, because you'll be in all sorts of trouble trying to line it back up again. And now I'm going to take some graphite paper. This is by a company called Sarrel, and slide the graphite side down, obviously, between the design and the wood, and the whole piece is on some non-slip matting that I got from IKEA. I need to turn the bowl round because I'm a lefty, and then just with a pen draw over the design with a little bit of pressure to transfer it onto the wood. I'm going to do what will look like the break or the rip, tear, whatever, out of the wood first. And if I lift that up, you should be able to see the design appearing. There, right, so there's the outline done. And now I can start the long, laborious process of transferring the cogs on. Now, I love steampunk, so and I've always really quite fancied doing some kind of steampunk bowl or something like that, and I finally got my finger out and designed it, so I hope you enjoy it. It's about 25 minutes later, and I've transferred all of the cog work onto the piece. So I've checked the piece that I haven't missed anything, because once I remove the design I'm kind of stuck if I've missed anything. So I need to pay close attention to see if I've missed anything, and it doesn't look like I have. So I can take the graphite paper away, and the grand reveal is, whoops, looking a bit like a mess, which is quite normal for pyro work, but it's okay because the design is colour coded, so each of the cog layers has its own colour. So as I'm going round the piece with the pyrography pen, I can check against the design to make sure that I'm not doing anything horrific. Okay. Okay, let's fire up the pyrography pen. Now the pen I use for pyrography is this little yellow unit here. It's a German unit which I got from, or which I bought from Axminster about 18 months ago. I'm not sure if they still sell it, but it is a great machine. It's not the best on the market, but it is an exceptionally good machine in my opinion. Now the tips that come with it are these ones here that slide into the end of the pen. But I find that when they're in, the tip of the pen is too far away from my fingers to get nice enough control. So I swapped out the screws in the top for some from one of those little white connector box things, and they fit in perfectly, and I use fire writer tips, so tips for the fire writer. And as the pen burns, some of the sap comes out onto the nib, so I just give it a little brush off with some 600 paper once in a while. The unit is variable heat or variable temperature controlled, which is very handy, which means you can burn hardwoods or softwoods, and I know that sycamore burns best just below 650 degrees. So I've set the machine to 650 degrees, and then I'm just going to go over the whole design again and burn it on. So, and what I'm going to try and do this time is work inwards, because as the oils from my skin rub over the design, there's a chance that it might smudge it, and it is already fairly well smudged. So I'm going to take the pen, just check it's up to temperature. Looks good. And then just start to burn in. That's now just a shade under 650. transferred the design or burnt the design onto the wood. What I need to do next is erase all of the graphite lines, all of the graphite marks and stuff. So I'm going to use a nice soft rubber, an eraser for that. And that's really nice as it is. Really, really nice as it is. But it's not finished yet. It's still far two-dimensional. So I need to switch the tip in the pen to a shading tip, which is that one. It looks a bit like a spoon. Make sure you turn the machine off before you change the tip. Otherwise you will burn your finger. So using the design and the colour coordinated bits of the design, I can easily see which layers are on top of which. Just about. It's confusing me. So I'm going to start by shading in around the outline, and then I'll go in and start working on the individual cogs. And the shading tip, you literally just drag it along just to create a shadow, essentially. About the same temperature as before, and already you can begin to see the cogs kind of sink back into the wood. Now, using the design as a reference, all of the black cogs are on the very top. So I'm going to shade around each of the black cogs to bring them up and push the rest down, as it were. Yeah, black, blue, green, purple, red. So I'll do that, and that should hopefully bring quite a nice sort of three-dimensional appearance to the whole set of layers of the cogs. So let's start with that one. About another half an hour has passed, and the top layer of cogs is done, apart from that little bit there. And now I can look at the next layer, which are the green ones. Oh no, hang on. No, blue. Blue's next, which is over here. So there are the blue ones, that one there and that one there. Now beneath the blue ones and these black ones here are the green ones. So I need to do those next. Okay, nearly done. Now all I need to do are the purple ones over here and the red ones down there, and then darken up the very background of the piece, so everything on here that's white darken that up a little bit, and then we're finished with the pyrography bit anyway. Okay, right, here we are. I've got the piece back on the lathe. I've finished the pyrography, and I think I've got quite a nice depth going on with the piece, but it's missing something. It looks a little bit unbalanced, and whilst I was having lunch I did think about putting another cogs section here, but I've gone off that idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a gradient of rosewood tint or rosewood stain from the bottom fading out to nothing at the top. So I've got the rosewood stain in the airbrush. And now I've got the tool rest back up, I can hollow out the inside of the bowl and finish the piece off. There, and there is the inside. I'm loving the way that it looks now. I'm really loving it. Now I just need to sand down the inside and then do the finishing. Sand it down to 400 now on the inside. Oil time now, and the oil will help darken down the pyrography a little bit, as well as darken down the stain that's around the outside. So I'm going to just dust it off a little bit. Now I'm not going to put any oil on the inside of the piece because I want the inside to remain as light as possible. So I'll spin the lathe, get some oil, and then just apply the oil to the rim there. Still looking good. Right, now I'm going to put on a couple of coats of acrylic sanding sealer spray, and then give that a little while to dry off. Then to the rim, now the sanding sealer is sanded back. To the rim I'm going to put Hampshire Sheen Original, and on the inside I'm going to put High Gloss. It's a little bit of original to the outside. Yeah, that's glowing nicely, that'll do. And then on the inside we'll put some High Gloss. And here we go, here is the finished piece. I am chuffed to bits with how this piece has turned out, and I hope you've enjoyed the process. So the outside of the rim was finished with Hampshire Sheen Original and the inside with High Gloss. But after I finished videoing a second ago, I flipped it over and I added a little signature in the bottom that says the Clockwork Tree Bowl, my name, and then in the very bottom of the recess I've actually put a clock spring, which I thought was an interesting little little touch, so whenever anybody turns it over there'll be that little surprise there. All in all, the piece has taken about 6 hours, no, 7 hours, including the designing of the pyrography. The design is available on the website if you fancy having a go at something like this yourself, and if you do, send us a picture. I'd love to see how you get on with your interpretation of it. Well, that's it for this week, folks. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the project, as I said, and please do like, share and subscribe, and if you feel so inclined then please do leave a comment below. I will always do my best to reply to you as soon as I possibly can. Well, that's it. Thanks very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.